Hello and welcome back to the Wellness Creator Podcast. I'm Jenny Barcelos, and I'm joined today with my co-founder and co-host, Sandy Connery. Hello, Sandy.
Hello, Jenny. Hello, everybody.
And today's episode, we're going to talk about oversaturation. Is the online wellness industry oversaturated? Is there still room for you? What does all of that mean? And how can you differentiate yourself in an increasingly crowded marketplace?
It's probably one of the most common questions that we get is like people desire to go online or desire to create something scalable online, but the fear, especially like times a million since COVID, is that there's too many people doing it and I won't be able to create a business doing it. Saturation.
Yeah, I have a couple of examples in kind of the non-online teaching industries of this, but I think that the biggest point here that you and I, when we were talking about this, Sandy, we wanted to make is that yes, any industry in which you are a generic player or a commodity player is going to be oversaturated unless you're like the first to market or the second or the third, right? Like that's true in any kind of economic scenario and has always been true.
Like Yoga for Adrienne, for example.
Right. Well, she differentiates herself, but she also was early to the market.
Early.
She had an unfair advantage, and we did too with NamaStream. Now, Nate, marvelous. Like we were the very first kind of online teaching platform in the wellness industry to the market, and so with that came kind of the heavy burden of educating the market about the opportunity and why it's not sacrilegious to teach yoga online and things like that. But, it also created a huge opportunity because once somebody realized, hey, I want to get in on this, we were kind of the only game in town for a long time, or like one of the only games. So I think you have a benefit from that. So just like us, you have now in a more crowded marketplace, you have to be able to differentiate yourself, your product, your offering, your transformation, your promise in a way that makes you stand out and makes it very clear to a prospective customer or client why they would want to work with you versus the next person down the line.
So really the saturation conversation turns into a have you niched down far enough conversation is really what we're talking about. And I want to give an example that I just thought about. It's one of our coaching clients where she does Ayurvedic work with women, and her original copy and messaging was all about Ayurveda and change your life and make your time for yourself and blah, blah, blah. And now it has morphed into like, don't know what to cook for dinner. Join my program. We're going to learn how to work with the seasons. I'm going to give you shopping lists. You're never going to ask that question. It's amazing. Like it's so specific. And why somebody would want to work with her is because every day they're like, I hate cooking dinner. I feel like crap. I don't know what to cook. And she like gives it all. And like that's a problem. She can still do all the Ayurvedic things that a general Ayurvedic person may do, but she's just packaged it in such a way that is so compelling for certain women who struggle with cooking dinner.
Yeah. And the problem of decision fatigue, like she's using Ayurvedic practices to accommodate decision fatigue, which is like another problem, right? So I think that's such a great example, Sandy. And I think that what folks need to realize is that, like, you and I talk about this a lot in our coaching programs and in our courses, that you have to solve an important problem for people with the work that you're doing in the world. Like, you can't just be like, hey, I'm going to do something. Like, you have to solve a problem. And I wanted to bring in this other example of a skincare company that I've fallen in love with in recent months. First of all, I have had my own skincare lines, like holistic kind of natural products with hydrosols and things like that in the past. So I'm very picky, but there are a million options for skincare, like natural skincare, right? Like you go to any farmer's market or natural foods grocery store, anything, there's a bazillion choices. Well, I stumbled upon a brand, and I'll name it. It's called Rocasa. And anyway, in a Facebook group a few months ago, and like they cannot keep their products in stock. They sell out, like especially some of their cult favorites, and they're a relatively new business. And I just saw one of the founders post online today that like they had a record year in business last year, but as of now, like this far into the year, it's like July, early August, Like they've already done as much volume as they did in 2023 so far in 2020.
Wow.
Like they're growing like extremely quickly. They can't keep product on the shelf. Like, and it's because it's so freaking good. Like their products are unlike anything I've tried ever in my life. So I'm like one of the evangelists now for their stuff. You and I haven't even talked about this yet, but like, so they're not just like, oh, I make, tallow lotion. Like there's like, I don't know, 300 million people in my feeds on anywhere that are like making their own stuff. And it's like, okay, that's nice. But like these people, they combine certain oils and they have magic in their stuff and like literally cannot keep it on the shelves because it is solving a problem for people. Like whether it's eczema or whatever, like whatever it is, like they're solving problems. And I just think that that's the other piece that I think is hard to say out loud sometimes, which is like you have to actually be really effective at what you do. Like you have to really make an impact on people's lives if you want to have wild success in any kind of business, whether it's like a physical product business or a digital product business. Like you have to have that effect on people. And so like I just want to when people come to us and they're like, the market's too saturated, I want to like turn the mirror back on them and say like, okay, tell me how you're changing someone's life.
Yeah, which is hard to hear because I think if someone's struggling with sales or business, the default is to blame external, to blame the market, the culture, the society. Like there's too many other people out there doing what I'm doing. That is why I am not succeeding. And we just want to call bullshit on that. And it's like, I think you have to be fabulous at what you do. Plus you have to package and talk about it and message it in a way that like, I would love to see the marketing and the copy for that skincare line. I bet you it's pretty damn good. Like it's very clear.
It is good, but it's also like minimal. Like they have like these evangelists. They have people who I don't even think anyone is like paid to do this. Like the products are just so useful that like if I go into like a mom group and I talk about the impact that this lotion has on my kids' skin after swimming, I get brownie points for that, right? Because I'm helping all these other moms. And so I think that they benefit through these weird influencer circles. But I mean their copy is fine. I mean it's great. Clear. It's clear. It's simple. It's not like over the top or anything like that. But the products themselves are like, I mean, there's like weird juju energy in that stuff. Like they're so effective. I've never like seen such quick results from things. Like it's weird as someone who's like kind of been in that space before, like they're really talented, right? So I think that's the other piece. You either have to be kind of like brilliant at marketing or brilliant at the skill that you serve people with, or both. One or the other or both. You cannot be average at everything and expect to have stellar results. Like that is very unlikely to happen.
I think that's such a good point because another example that you just brought to my mind is red light therapy. So I'm going to forget the US name. If I say red light in the US, what's the big company? Like Huberman recommends them.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name.
I'll find it. But so I bought some red light and this company that I don't know, Cala Red Light. And that's Canada. That's the one I bought. Sorry, I'm going to get it for you. They basically sponsor all the podcasts, right? Like they've poured a lot of money to be on Huberman and Ben Greenfield and all the big
I know you're talking about Juve.
Juve, yes, Juve. So like you're just hit like marketing wise and you go on Instagram and then you're on the algorithm and all you get is Juve red light therapy. And I was looking and they're expensive, right? And then I looked at Canada and there's a company by two hockey players called Cala, Kala, and I compared all the things and it's exactly the same product, but they don't have the marketing budget, right? That these guys do. And so it is their success is powered by an incredible creative marketing team and money versus, so that's exactly what you're saying. It's like, you need to be so good that people are talking about you, or you need to have a crap ton of dollars behind you to get get the word out publicly.
Yeah. And if you happen to have both, then you're the leader in the industry. Like then you're everything. Right. So I think like that's not for everybody. That's a lot. That's a lot of pressure and money and venture capital that would make that the case. But I do think that, you know, if I were in this position where I were relatively new to online business and I knew this was the path I wanted to take, I would take an honest look at myself and my craft and be like, am I the person that is going to be like so freaking good at what I do that I will have a wait list no matter what, because everyone tells their best friend and their sister and their cousin, and like it's impossible that I won't have a full roster of work? Or am I the person that's like maybe more beginner and I'm good at what I do, but I don't see that as the path? Like I see more like I'm going to get good at marketing. And so that's how everyone's going to find out about me. And like, I think you've got to be honest with yourself. And I can kind of gauge quickly when we have a client that comes to us, like where in that camp they are, right? Like there's the people who are like the experts and world-renowned people at what they do, and it's very clear that they're genius at their craft and they just have a ton of experience. Like they don't have to lean into the marketing as heavily. It's just like, it's like, you know, the whipped cream on top for them. Like they can have a bigger business if they want to, if they choose to lean into marketing, but they're going to be all right either way. It's the people who come to us who are more beginner and sort of have always worked for someone else and they've done adequate and above average in their work. That's where it gets trickier, because I would say for those people, in most cases, you got to decide, am I going to become like incredibly ridiculously well-known and like stellar at this one piece of work that I do? Or am I going to become like the next great marketing savant? Like where do you want to, like, where does your curiosity lead you? Do you want to go deeper in your work and be the best in the world at something? Or do you want to be like really great at YouTube or Instagram or, you know, blogging or whatever?
Yeah, or editing reels on Instagram.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Not me. Yeah, that one wasn't my choice.
This is a little bit of an aside, but I just saw something in the inbox today for Hey Marvelous where people will also blame the tool. Oh, like I'm looking at other things because I think I would do better or make more money on a different tool. And I just want to bang my head against the wall, because that is not going to change a goddamn thing for you. Go change. You're going to like lose so much time, so much money, moving stuff over, telling all your clients that it's over here. Terrible idea. Just stay where you are. Stay on Marvelous if you're here, and get better at your craft and start talking probably more frequently about what you do, and pick up some copywriting skills. Like that's really the recipe for a business success.
Yeah, you know, it's like a little bit tricky because we have like we've built a business around the tool, and we made the tool and we love the tool and the tool is great. But I agree with you, Sandy. The tool is relatively minor in your success. Like the tool should make your life easier. It should be something that is delightful for you to use. It should have like the breadth of features that you're looking for, generally speaking. But beyond that, like, you know, they are relatively commoditized at this point. Like we created the category, we started the industry, and now they're kind of, you know, dime a dozen, although nothing matches ours because we were the first and the best and the only. We're always kind of on the front line of what's getting developed in the online wellness space. But with that said, for most people, you know, like pick the tool you're going to use. That's like, it's like the people who are YouTube experts who are like, use whatever camera you're going to use.
Right.
Like if that means your phone, or if that means your DSLR, or if that means your like what handy cam from, you know, 2003, like doesn't matter. Just whatever camera you're going to use is the camera that's going to make you a YouTuber. And it's kind of the same thing now with any tool, whether it's like a video editing tool or an online teaching tool or a social media tool, like doesn't matter. Just pick something and commit to it and like pick the thing you're going to use. And I think that we do a lot of procrastination, which is what you're suggesting by like jumping from platform to platform to platform or tool to tool to tool. And there's a lot of, you know, people making money by you jumping around and using different tools on the internet. Like there's marketing behind your idea in your head that thinks you want to do that.
It's externalizing the problem, right? Like it's the world, the culture, the society, it's the internet, it's COVID. That's why I'm not making any more money. Like the problem is all the things out there. And I think that's our main message here is like, you got to turn inward. How often are you talking about it? What are you saying? Is it clear? Do people know what you do? And are you really, really good at it? So I don't really think there's a saturation problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what is happening is that people are realizing that in 2015, if somebody wanted to start teaching yoga or Pilates or fitness on the internet, that they could just kind of like upload some videos and have a business. And that was like a little moment in time where that was possible because of platforms like ours and because of the rise of YouTube, where like that didn't really exist before. And then now these technological circumstances kind of came into being that created that. And yeah, that's true. There was this little period of time for maybe 2 years, 3 years, where kind of like you could kind of just upload some stuff and you'd have a business. And obviously that's not going to be the case forever. And so rather than mourn that period is over, because we know a lot of the people who started and built businesses during that period, they're also running into issues now, just FYI. There's stagnant growth. They're losing people to new people, like they're running into the same problems that a new person would be having now. You now have the opportunity to have, first of all, the tools are all better. The internet's faster. Everything is easier. Your workload will be smaller from a technical standpoint. But you actually have to kind of do the work of figuring out who you are, who you serve, and how you serve them better than anyone else, and how you market. And that was always going to happen. Like, this was always the direction the train was going. So that's what it actually takes to be successful in business. And like, if that's not interesting to you, then maybe business isn't right for you, right? Like that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And like, you have to be an entrepreneur to run a business on the internet. You're an actual real entrepreneur.
You cannot rely on Google to let people find you. You can't they're not just going to come. I think that's continues to be a common mistake.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and just like you can't rely on like, oh, I'm going to go build, a brick and mortar location over here by the railroad tracks. And like, somehow I'm going to have a business because I like, put some things in there and have a sign. Like, it's the same thing. Like that doesn't make the business. Like, you're creating the space for the business. You're opening the space up, but you're not actually doing the work. And I mean, that's maybe like a hard truth. So I think like, anyway, this whole idea of oversaturation is like a bit, as you were saying, Sandy, is a cop-out. And it's really an unhelpful frame for any kind of discomfort that you're experiencing. It's not serving you to think that the market is saturated. Right.
Yeah. I think it's a huge, huge disservice to you and the clients that are looking to work with you because you are who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, I mean, also look at the local businesses, guys. Like, I currently am living in the state of Arizona. There's like a million pool cleaner guys, like, and everyone's always looking for a pool cleaner. Like that's such a good business. Or like a landscaper, or, like just look, a plumber. Like in my last community, nobody could ever get a plumber to come out or someone to come service their refrigerator or the washer dryer. Like, just because a market has existed for a long time, like appliance repair person or plumber, doesn't mean it's saturated. And if you are really good at what you do, you will become, your name and number or email or Instagram handle or whatever will get passed around like wildfire. Just like these Rocosa women started this like incredible skincare, holistic skincare brand that I'm like raving about. Like, it doesn't, they could do anything now and they're going to be successful because like there's so many people that have been impacted by their products. So just really commit to being good. Be good at marketing, be good at serving people, be good at changing people's lives. That's it. And be consistent.
The end. Done. Fantastic. That was a super short, sweet message. Thanks, Jenny.
All right. Thank you, Sandy. And everyone else, we'll see you next time.